If there's one thing you should know about my family, it's this: my brother Austin has never paid a single consequence in his life. Broke a neighbor's window? I got grounded for not watching him. Got caught cheating in school. My dad called the principal and threatened to sue the school for emotional harassment. Wrecked his own car at 18 after doing donuts in the high school parking lot. My parents bought him a new one and blamed the city for having too many curbs. So when I say I'm not surprised that things escalated the way they did, I just didn't expect they'd try to pin a felony on me. Let me back up. My name's Zane. I'm 24, live in Michigan, and work full-time as a mechanic. I'm the kind of guy who keeps receipts in folders, shows up early, and minds his own damn business. My life is small but peaceful. I rent a modest apartment, go to the gym, and every Saturday I take my pride and joy, a fully restored 1969 Dodge Charger, out for a spin. That car? It's not just metal. It's 10 years of scraping together every dime, every spare hour. I pulled parts from junkyards, sanded the body myself, even rebuilt the transmission one winter in my freezing garage with a space heater that barely worked. That car is mine in every sense of the word. And last month? My brother Austin stole it. Drunk out of his mind. Crashed it into a bakery at 2:17 in the morning. And then had the audacity, with my parents' full support, to blame it on me. It started with a phone call. I was dead asleep when my phone rang at 2:30 a.m. I almost didn't answer. But when I saw it was the local police department, my stomach dropped. "Mr. Walker?" the officer said. "We have your vehicle registered in a crash report. You'll need to come down to the station immediately." Crash? My first thought was stolen. The car was in my garage, I was sure. I'd washed it that afternoon. But I grabbed my keys, sprinted outside, and sure enough, the garage door was wide open. Gone. My heart felt like it had been thrown into a blender. I was standing there in my slippers, brain trying to process how someone had broken in and taken the single most valuable thing I owned, when my phone buzzed again. This time? It was my dad. "Zane," he said, voice clipped. "We're already at the station. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Harder than what needs to be?" He exhaled like I was the burden here. "They're saying Austin was drinking. He's upset. He panicked. He took your car, sure, but it's not the time to point fingers." "What are you talking about?" "Austin said you loaned it to him," he said, like that would solve everything. "That you told him he could take it for a ride. Now, the officer is saying there's damage to private property, potential DUI charges. If this goes to court, his life is over. Do you want that? Do you want your brother in jail?" I couldn't breathe. "You're asking me to lie to the police. I'm asking you to be a brother," he snapped. "He made a mistake. You weren't using the car anyway." "Using the car?" He crashed it into a storefront at 2 in the morning while blacked out and reeking of tequila. But no, of course I should cover for him, because heaven forbid little Austin learn the definition of accountability. I didn't say anything. Just hung up. Got dressed. Drove to the station. And when I walked in, my eyes landed on my dad standing next to a disheveled, bloodied Austin, face bruised, still drunk, and with that familiar blank expression like he couldn't believe the universe had the nerve to punish him. And that's when I knew. They were really going to try this. They were really going to frame me. I expected tension when I walked into the station. I did not expect to find my father already giving a statement. Not about what he saw, but about what I supposedly did. "I think he regrets it," I heard him saying to the officer at the desk. "He's just scared. He told Austin he could borrow the car. They were hanging out earlier. Must have forgotten." I stepped in before my brain could fully process the fury bubbling up inside me. "That's a lie," I said. Every head in the room turned. My dad stiffened. Austin blinked like he was trying to reboot his brain. And my mom, yeah, she was there too, sitting in the corner like a weepy extra in a soap opera, gasped and whispered my name like I just confessed to burning down a church. Zane, my father said slowly, stepping toward me. Let's talk privately. No, I snapped. Let's talk right here. Because I didn't give Austin permission. I didn't even know he was home. Austin slurred. Bro, come on, don't be dramatic. Dramatic? I turned to him. You broke into my garage, stole my keys, and totaled my car. While drunk. You could have killed someone. And now you want me to take the blame? My dad's face twisted into that look, the one he saves for when I stop playing doormat. The one that says, how dare you challenge the family narrative. Zane, he said through gritted teeth. This isn't the time to get emotional. You know what kind of record a DUI would give your brother? He's already had setbacks. This would ruin his future. I looked him dead in the eyes. He ruined his own future. Not me. That's when my mom jumped in, standing now with red eyes and a trembling voice. Honey, please. If this gets out, your brother will never get another chance. You're not going to let your own brother go to jail, are you? Cheryl, the officer interjected. We already have conflicting statements. If your sons want to settle this civilly, we can't stop them. But if we're investigating a stolen vehicle and DUI, we'll need to process it formally. There are damages and witnesses. My father's head whipped around. Witnesses? The officer nodded. Yes. The bakery owner across the street had cameras. One of them captured your son, this one. He pointed to Austin, stumbling out of the vehicle and vomiting on the curb. Another customer called 911. My parents froze. Austin swayed a little. I kept my voice calm. So are we done pretending now? Or should I call my lawyer? My dad recovered first. Look, we all say things in the heat of the moment. Zane's just upset. He's willing to help. Right, son? I turned to the officer. I want to make a formal statement. I have home security footage from inside my garage showing exactly what happened. My father took a step toward me. Don't do this. I turned toward him, and for the first time in my life, I looked him square in the face and said what I'd swallowed for years. You're right. I won't do this anymore. I won't protect him. I won't lie. And I won't go down for a crime I didn't commit just because you two can't admit you raised a spoiled disaster. Silence. Then my mom sat back down, face in her hands. My dad didn't say another word. Austin looked like he was trying to figure out if this was still real life or just a bad hangover dream. I handed the officer my ID and said, Let's get to work. By the time I got home from the station, I was vibrating with fury. Not just at Austin. I'd seen that train wreck coming years ago. What really made my blood boil was how casually my parents had tried to rewrite reality. Like of course I'd take the blame. Like of course I'd roll over, same as always. Not this time. I walked into my apartment and headed straight to the old laptop I used for running diagnostics. Within minutes, I was logged into the garage security feed. A system I'd installed after some break-ins last winter, mostly out of habit and paranoia. There it was. 2:08 a.m. Austin, stumbling up the driveway like Bambi on roller skates. He didn't even try to be subtle. He used the keypad, which he only knew because my mom once texted it to him. Just in case. I fast-forwarded. He opened the driver's side door like he was auditioning for a Fast and Furious reboot, then dropped the keys. Twice. When he finally got the engine started, he peeled out of my driveway, tires screeching so loud they probably woke the neighbors. Timestamped. HD quality. No sound, didn't matter. His idiocy spoke loud enough. I saved the file, backed it up to a flash drive, and emailed a copy to myself and Officer Marquez, the one who handled the case. I also added the short clip from last week, where Austin bragged about taking the Charger for a spin soon. That little voice memo wasn't just annoying anymore. It was premeditation. By morning, I was running on caffeine and spite. And then came the twist. Officer Marquez called me around 10 a.m. Zane, got your footage. This is good, really good. But I need to tell you something else. He sounded tense. Your father submitted a statement to our department early this morning. Claimed you verbally confessed last night before the patrol car even arrived. I went still. He did what? He said you two had a private conversation where you admitted to letting Austin borrow the vehicle and claimed you were embarrassed about the crash. There was a long silence. He wrote that in a formal statement? I asked. Yes. Signed and time-stamped. But it contradicts everything you said. And if you hadn't sent us that footage... He trailed off. I didn't need him to finish the sentence. I already knew. They weren't just trying to guilt me anymore. My own father was actively framing me. Lying to the police. Falsifying evidence. Willing to burn me to the ground to keep golden boy Austin out of trouble. And here's the worst part. I wasn't surprised. You have everything now? I asked. Marquez sighed. We do. But you might want to get legal counsel. If this goes to court, your father could be in serious trouble. Perjury. Obstruction. We'll forward the footage and statement to the DA. I thanked him, hung up, and immediately called my cousin Elijah. Elijah is the one guy in our extended family who doesn't buy into the golden child garbage. He's also a junior partner at a law firm. And most importantly, he owes me for fixing his Mini Cooper's entire front suspension for free 2 years ago. Elijah, I said, you busy? For you? He said. Only if we're suing someone. I grinned. Oh, we're way past that. My dad just committed perjury. His voice changed instantly. I'll be at your place in an hour. While I waited, I went full petty. Downloaded every call log from that night. Pulled up the insurance documents. The car is 100% in my name. Found the text from my mom earlier that week asking if Austin could borrow the Charger sometime. I'd replied, absolutely not. At this point, my evidence folder could give the FBI a run for its money. By the time Elijah arrived, I had it all in a labeled envelope. You ready to make them regret ever thinking you'd stay quiet? He asked. I didn't even hesitate. Let's end them. Elijah didn't waste time. He flipped through the folder like a man reviewing a fast food order, calm, precise, deadly. You know what's funny? He said, holding up the signed statement my father submitted. This thing could have worked if you hadn't installed cameras, logged messages, and documented every move like a paranoid IT admin. I told you, I said, sipping coffee. Paranoia runs in the family. I just learned to weaponize it. He nodded. Good. Because we're about to go full nuclear. First move? Elijah sent a formal notice of intent to cooperate with law enforcement and the district attorney's office. It outlined what we had: video evidence, time logs, call histories, text receipts, and most damning of all, my father's fabricated confession statement. Elijah attached a sworn affidavit saying we'd be providing everything, voluntarily. No tricks. Just truth. Let's put the pressure on them for once, Elijah said. You're not just defending yourself anymore. Now, you're helping them catch a perjury charge in 4K. By noon, the police department had already called him back. We're reclassifying the case, the officer said. Austin's still facing DUI and grand theft auto charges. But now we've opened a second file on your father: obstruction of justice, falsifying evidence, and perjury. Sounds like Christmas, Elijah replied. And it only got better. Because that afternoon, Elijah requested to review the footage from the storefront camera outside the bakery. The one the police mentioned earlier. We didn't need it, we had enough already, but Elijah wanted to check for consistency. Translation: he wanted to see if Frank showed up at the crash scene and did anything extra dumb. And guess what? He did. The footage showed my dad arriving 10 minutes after the crash, pacing, talking on the phone, and eventually walking right up to the car. He reached inside the open driver's side door and dropped something. Marquez called us immediately. We just got a search warrant to examine the car's interior again, he said. Whatever your father left inside, it wasn't logged. And that alone is a huge problem. I already had a guess. And I was right. A few hours later, Marquez called back. Zane. It was your wallet. My stomach twisted. I thought I lost that months ago. Marquez sighed. He must have had it. Dropped it at the scene to help sell the story. Classical look, his ID was in the car, must have been him driving move. My dad had faked a narrative, complete with props. Like this was CSI, Dumbass Edition. Elijah wasn't even surprised. This is what happens when entitled people get scared. They throw logic out the window and start staging scenes like it's amateur theater. It was surreal. My dad had literally tried to plant evidence to make sure his favorite son didn't get in trouble. And it might have worked, if I just stayed quiet. If I hadn't documented everything. If I just played along like always. But not this time. This time I had leverage. This time I had facts. And this time, I had a lawyer with nothing to lose and a deep hatred for Frank Walker's smug face. We sat back and watched it unfold. That night, Cheryl, my mom, texted me. Zane, your father is just trying to protect the family. Don't make this worse than it already is. I stared at the message. Didn't reply. But I screenshotted it. Elijah smirked. Let her keep talking. Every guilt trip is more evidence. It started on a Tuesday morning, bright, sunny, weirdly calm. I was halfway through rotating tires at the shop when Elijah texted. Turn on channel 9. Now. I wiped my hands, walked into the break room, and watched it happen live. A local reporter stood in front of our town's municipal building, microphone shaking slightly from the wind. We've just received confirmation that Frank Walker, a local contractor and business owner, has been arrested on charges including obstruction of justice, perjury, and tampering with evidence in an ongoing DUI investigation involving his younger son, Austin Walker. There it was. My dad, Mr. Community Man, Mr. Fix-It, Mr. I know the sheriff personally, being led into a police car in handcuffs. The camera didn't even cut away. It zoomed in. His face was tight. Jaw clenched. No yelling. No fighting. Just this hollow, stunned expression like someone had finally yanked the batteries out of his ego. I didn't cheer. Didn't smile. I just stood there with my arms crossed, heart thudding. It wasn't joy. It was relief. Finally. Someone else could carry the weight of their own decisions for once. By noon, Austin was arrested too, officially booked on DUI, reckless driving, grand theft auto, and property damage. Apparently, the bakery owner had filed an insurance claim, and the footage of Austin stumbling into the building made it an airtight case. My mom called 5 times that day. I didn't answer once. Then came the voicemail. Zane. I hope you're happy. You're tearing this family apart over a car. Your father is in jail. Your brother's future is ruined. And for what? Pride? Spite? You used to be better than this. Funny. They always said Austin had potential. But I'm the one who ruined everything. A week later, the hearing started. Frank's lawyer tried to spin the usual narrative: confusion, family miscommunication, unclear intentions. Elijah tore it to pieces. He submitted the video, the forged confession, the planted wallet, and the screen cap text from my mom saying, "Your father is just trying to protect the family." The DA didn't even flinch. The judge? She stared at my dad like he was roadkill. "Mr. Walker," she said, voice ice cold, "you knowingly falsified a police statement and tampered with a crime scene. Do you understand how serious that is?" Frank looked down. Didn't answer. She continued, "And you did all of this not to protect a child, but an adult who chose to steal, drink, and drive." There was a pause so long you could hear people breathing. Then, "I'm remanding you to custody." Bail denied. Just like that. My dad, the man who once said, "You'll never be as successful as Austin because you don't have guts," was being led away in shackles. I didn't gloat. But I did take a deep breath and exhale something I hadn't felt in years. Power. The kind that comes from truth. from finally breaking the chain. And Austin? He folded like a lawn chair. The minute he realized Frank couldn't shield him anymore, he confessed. Pled guilty. Took a plea deal for 2 years in prison with mandatory alcohol rehab. The courtroom was silent when the sentence was read. I didn't cry. Didn't flinch. I just sat there, hands folded, while my mom turned and looked at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Because the Zane they used to know? He was gone. The day after Austin was sentenced, my mom showed up at my apartment. Uninvited, of course. I spotted her through the peephole, pastel sweater, puffy eyes, clutching a tote bag like it contained the last piece of family dignity. I opened the door halfway and just stared. She tried for a smile. Failed halfway. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just that soft, artificial tone she used when she wanted something, like we were about to talk about grocery lists or her new curtains, not the fact that she backed a legal frame job against her own son. "I thought maybe we could talk," she said. "Just us. No lawyers. No yelling." "Mom," I said. "You told the police I gave Austin permission to steal my car. Dad filed a false statement. This wasn't tension or a family disagreement. This was a coordinated felony." Her eyes welled up, not with guilt, but with offense. "Zane, this has gotten completely out of hand. Your father's in jail. Your brother's going to prison. The neighbors keep staring at me like I'm on trial too. Do you know how humiliating this is?" That told me everything. She wasn't here for reconciliation. She was here for damage control. I crossed my arms. "You mean how humiliating it is for you? Because I've been humiliated for 24 years, Mom. You just didn't notice." "Zane," she sighed. "You're not being fair. We did our best. Your father, he wasn't thinking clearly. He just panicked. No, he calculated." I stepped into the doorway. "He signed and submitted a false statement. He planted my wallet in the car. This wasn't heat of the moment. This was premeditated." She swallowed hard. And for a moment, just one, I saw the mask slip. A flash of panic. The realization that I wasn't backing down. That I wasn't going to soften, like I always did when they pulled out the emotional strings and called it love. She tried again. "The house is on the verge of foreclosure. I've been locked out of the savings account. I just need help. I'm not asking you to fix everything. Just a little support. Just something. You're doing well now, right?" I tilted my head. "You didn't think I was doing well when you told me I wasn't worth investing in. When you gave Austin 10 grand to start his brand and told me to get a second job for tuition." She bit her lip, stayed silent. "I'm not cruel," I said, voice even. "I just finally understand what you valued. And it wasn't me." Her voice cracked. "You've changed." "I had to," I said. "No one was coming to save me. I thought she'd leave then. But instead, she tried to flip the script. You're acting like we abused you. That's not fair. We had tough years. Austin just needed more help. He wasn't as strong as you. You've always been more independent. I thought you could handle things." That line again. "You're strong. You'll figure it out." It used to make me proud. Until I realized it was code for "we won't help you, but we'll still expect everything from you." I stared at her. "Do you hear how twisted that is? You're saying because I didn't crumble, you gave all your support to the person who did?" She looked stunned. Like no one had ever called it what it was before. "I didn't destroy this family," I said. "I just stopped volunteering to be its shield." She blinked, turned away. Walked slowly toward the stairs. Just before she disappeared, I added, "Tell Dad I hope his jumpsuit fits. And tell Austin. I hope this is his wake-up call. But if he still thinks the world owes him something, he can wait for that handout behind bars." She didn't answer. Just walked off into the silence she helped build. I closed the door behind her. And this time, I didn't feel guilty for locking it. I always thought courtrooms would feel heavy. Turns out, they're just quiet. Polished floors. Buzzing lights. A little too much air conditioning and none of the drama you'd expect. The hearing wasn't publicized, but words still got around. A few familiar faces filled the back row, most pretending not to stare. I didn't sit with my mom. I found a spot near the aisle, next to Elijah, who had his folder already open and color-tabbed like we were presenting a PowerPoint instead of decades of betrayal. The judge entered. No frills. No small talk. Austin came in first. He was a ghost of himself. The baggy orange jumpsuit didn't help, but it was the way he looked around, like he wasn't sure if this was a bad dream or a really disappointing after-party. He avoided my gaze. Couldn't even fake the usual arrogance. Then Frank. He walked slower than usual, like every step was loaded with wet cement. The usual puffed-up posture was gone. Still, he tried for a smirk, a shadow of the same expression he wore during every lesson he forced on me growing up. But when he caught sight of me in the front row, seated calm and unshaken, the smirk fell off like cheap paint. That alone was almost enough. The judge went straight into it. Charges were listed: grand theft auto, DUI, destruction of property, obstruction, perjury, evidence tampering. When the prosecution laid out the timeline, it wasn't a performance. It was a dissection. Every piece of evidence Elijah submitted, from the garage cam to the text messages to the planted wallet, came out like scalpel slices. Frank's attorney tried to spin the narrative. Said it was a miscommunication. That family emotions were clouding judgment. That maybe Frank misremembered Zane's statements that night. Elijah stood up, held up the signed affidavit, and said, "Then why did he submit a written confession, time-stamped, 2 hours after Zane had already spoken to the arresting officer?" The courtroom didn't gasp, but it tightened. Even the bailiff shifted. Then the bakery owner took the stand. Gave a short, pointed statement about his broken storefront window and the security footage he handed over, footage of Austin stumbling from the car, trying to order pizza from a trash can. After that, they called me. I stood and walked to the witness box. No dramatic music. No inner trembling. Just the steady, cold clarity that comes when you've been gaslit your whole life, and finally get to tell the truth, uninterrupted. "I built that car over 10 years. I said. I worked 3 jobs to afford parts. I skipped vacations, birthdays. Austin took it while drunk, crashed it, and then my father tried to shift the blame onto me. They weren't protecting the family. They were protecting a narrative where I stay silent and useful." No one interrupted. I glanced at the judge. She was still, expression unreadable. "I didn't bring this case out of vengeance," I added. "I brought it because if I didn't have security footage, or the receipts, or a cousin in law school, I'd be sitting in Austin's chair." They made peace with that possibility. I didn't. The judge gave a slow nod. "Thank you, Mr. Walker." Verdict followed after a short recess. Austin, 2 years in state custody, plus mandatory rehab and license suspension. Frank, 18 months, immediate incarceration. Charges: obstruction, evidence tampering, perjury. No suspended sentence. No deal. The room was still when the bailiffs cuffed them. Cheryl, sitting alone near the back, didn't cry. Just sat there stiff, lips tight, like the moment hadn't landed yet. Neither man looked at me as they were taken out. I didn't gloat. Didn't smile. Didn't even shift in my seat. That feeling in my chest? It wasn't triumph. It was that quiet, heavy stillness when someone else finally carries the weight you've been holding your entire life. And for the first time, I wasn't the one cleaning up the mess. It's been 4 months since the verdict. The Charger's gone. Sold it for parts, kept the rearview mirror. Not because I'm sentimental, because sometimes you need a reminder to never look back unless it's to remember how far you crawled. The apartment's quieter now. No more late-night texts, no more voicemails starting with, "We just want to talk," and ending with, How could you do this to us? I blocked all of them the week after sentencing. Haven't unblocked since. I still get updates though. Small-town rumors have a way of finding you. Austin's already tried faking a panic attack to get out of rehab. Didn't work. Frank filed a motion to serve the rest of his sentence on house arrest. The court denied it. Twice. Mom sent a card. Blank inside, but with a Starbucks gift card tucked in, like caffeine could somehow erase conspiracy. I didn't reply. Just tossed it in the junk drawer next to expired batteries and dried up super glue. Most days, I work late at the shop. I picked up a few new clients. Word gets around when you're the guy who took down his family and still showed up to work on time. I don't hide the story. I just tell it straight, and people either respect it or walk away. Either way, I sleep better now. Some nights I sit on the balcony with a beer and the old Charger's mirror on the table. Not staring into it, just keeping it there. Like a scar that healed the right way. I didn't win by destroying them. I won by surviving them.